Good evening, everybody. Happy Monday. So, there was just a new bombshell article that released earlier this morning from New York Times talking about Asian American voters that they're shifting more towards Republicans. I wouldn't say bombshell, but it's been kind of happening for quite some time because I believe a lot of it has to do with a lot of the woke politics that the Democrats have been had in which the Democrats had overplayed their hand. In fact, like I said, I'm left leaning voter, but I am turned off big time by these woke politics, and I just because it makes some elite liberals feel good. Now, so basically, as you can see, I don't have the access to New York Times, so I couldn't. So I don't have. Uh, so I could not read through the article fully. Only just the first few sentences, but I have an article from this website called Pheno Expert, as well as from Fox News. Not a big Fox News watcher, but every now and then I look at the articles just to see what's going on. But let's get back to this overall headline. So yes, Asian Americans, they said shifting rights. Not surprised, but it says that the Times has published a series of maps and charts focusing on New York City's neighborhoods, where most eligible voters are of Asian descent, including Sunset Park, Flushing, Manhattan's Chinatown. And Jason told me that he had started thinking about the subject after his father, who rarely talks about politics, said that he voted for Lee Zeldin. And now, Lee Zeldin, he was the Republican nominee for the New York governor's race in 2022. And he only lost to Kathy Hochul by 5 percentage points because he was talking about the number one issue that's facing New York City today: crime. Not the economy, although there's that, but crime. You hear it on the news every day. If you're a New York viewer, I'm pretty sure you that every day on the evening news you hear something about going on at Subway, something's going on in one of the boroughs. Um, and yes, I mean I have family that live up in the Northeast as well, and when I go there for Thanksgiving, it's like the local news is depressing just seeing what's happening in New York. I mean, I don't know how anybody can watch that for more than 10 minutes, but some people do. I think you just get used to it after a while. So getting back to the article, it says later Jason saw a post-election map of New York and was shocked to see some of the Chinatown neighborhoods where he grew up were colored red. As Amnita, so yeah, so getting back to Chinatown, like as you remember, like a lot of attacks against Asian Americans, sadly, were targeted toward like they were victims of it. And when you talk about crime, 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 and the state was completely run by Democrats. New York City is completely run by Democrats, and they haven't had any plan on how to address that issue. So in the end, public safety matters to a lot of voters, and that's why that race was much closer than we thought. And so going back, continuing with the article, as Anita Kilawan Noreen, a community activist who was raised in South Richmond Hill, which is home to a large Indian American population, told Jason, I never seen so many signs for a Republican governor in the areas I grew up. She was one of the local leaders and academic researchers and political officials whom Jason interviewed, and he heard a few points repeated from these experts. Says that Republican campaigns have recently increased their outreach to Asian voters, while Democrat candidates had grown complacent. Education issues hurt Democrats. Asian voters have been unhappy with the proposal to change the rules for magnet high schools, like Stu was saying that children admit based on test scores. Many students at those schools come from lower income Asian families. And perhaps most important, the Republicans' anti crime message resonated follow, following increases both citywide crime and anti Asian violence. Lester Chang, a military veteran and a new Republican member of New York State Assembly, said that the overwhelming reason he won a Brooklyn district beating a Democrat incumbent who held the seat for 36 years was crime. And last importantly, it says Asian Americans were politically diverse. The most heavily Democratic groups include those of Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Arab descent. The least Democratic group is Vietnamese Americans, followed by Korean, Cambodian, and Filipino Americans. So let's talk about these four bullet points. So yes, the RNC has made a lot of outreach to the Asian American voters. They have done that with Hispanics, and they're doing that with African American voters too. So that's why, if you remember in 2020, why Trump, he actually got the highest percentage of African American voters since Richard Nixon in 1960. So that was a 60-year high. And in addition, since I live in Florida, we all know what happened to a lot of the Hispanic voters down there. A lot of them reelected to Ron DeSantis. In fact, they flipped Miami-Dade County by double digits. And yes, and it goes down to that ish other point saying that Democratic candidates are growing complacent. They played that stupid demographics are destiny. Nah, that's not, and it's backfiring so bad. And I'm sure a lot of these strategists are just puzzled as to why this is all falling apart. When you don't even reach out to voters, when you don't even have a plan, when you don't even enact your plan right, yeah, people are going to go. People are going to look at the other side. And it goes to my next point, which is about the wokeness, which is, oh boy, can we just quit it with the wokeness already? I'm sure I'm not the only one who thinks that. Yeah, so it's education issues hurt Democrats. And it's not just in New York itself. You're looking at Virginia in 2021, a lot of Asian Americans, they voted for Glenn Youngkin because of the woke policies in these school districts, such as what they were teaching, as well as some of the cover ups in Loudoun County. And what's more importantly, like also gotta bring another point. In California, they actually recalled some of their board members because they were because just based on that was they were changing the proposal for some of their schools they that admit children based on test scores. Now, and they were trying to make it more like an equity based decision. I don't know really on top of my head. But let me tell you this: a lot of Asian American families, education is like the number thing they will vote for. A lot of them would, because they believe that education is the pathway to a better, successful life. In fact, that's why you see a lot of Asian students, they outperform every other demographic in in school, in the public school system, especially in the private schools and in universities too, because they take their studies seriously. They take education seriously. I mean, they beat you. I mean, they 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 beat this thing in your head the moment you're born. I'm not trying to uh, stereotype Asians, but I'm just saying they take education seriously because they believe it's a pathway to a better life. And the moment that you have these elected officials mess around with it, yeah, there's going to be backlash. And yes, about the crime issue, I'd already discussed that crime is out of control, and especially in New York, you hear about something going on. You saw what happened in Chicago. The crime was at the all-time high. Well, I won't say the all-time high, but it was in the highest in decades. And they just recalled Mayor Lori Lightfoot. She only got, I think it was like over 80% of the city of the electorate voted against her. That's how horrible she was. Now, let's go continue on with it. It says, upscale Democrats. Nationally, the rightward drift of Asian voters is connected to a new class divide in American politics. The Democratic Party, especially its liberal wing, has increasingly come to reflect the views of college educated professionals. Development has some benefits for Democrats, helping them win more suburban voters, flip Arizona, Georgia, and recent elections. To a growing number of working class voters, however, the new upscale version of the party has become less appealing. The trend has been evident among white working class voters, and many liberal analysts have claimed that it mostly reflects racial bigotry. I need to talk about that soon. But recent developments have weakened that argument. Class appears to be an important factor as well. Since 2018, more Asian and Latino voters have supported Republicans, and these appear to be more disproportionately working class. Yes, basically, yeah, so let's get into that. So I like it. I always find it funny that how They always call the white working class voters who didn't vote Democrats a bunch of bigots. Yeah, how the heck did Obama win Ohio twice? How did he win Wisconsin twice? Pennsylvania twice? All won North Carolina in '08. Oh yeah, almost won Missouri, and even won Indiana in 2008. And let me tell you this: Indiana is not the most racially diverse place, but he still won it. Oh yeah, it's those white working class voters. Yes, it's all because of them. Because it's like the same thing. People they voted for him twice. Uh, let's face it, he did not deliver them much, give them much, and people were still desperate, and they voted for Trump. That's what happened, and they call you bigots if you don't vote for them. And let's face it. And when they're talking about flipping Arizona and Georgia, the Republicans did not put up their best. I mean, Herschel Walker, Kerry Lake. I'm not rooting for Team Red, but I'm just saying that had the Republicans actually put up a more stable candidate, let's put in that words, I think the Republicans would be holding the governorship in Arizona as well as the Senate seat in Georgia. So let's see what happens going forward. But yes, a lot of the working class voters, in fact, of all races, are shifting towards the right because I don't know who the Democrats are appealing to. Like these, I don't even say they're appealing to much college educated voters because college educated voters I speak to, they're fed up with both the parties. They're fed up with these identity politics too. But maybe because I just live down here in Florida, so maybe it's a different environment um, compared to many of the northeastern states. So let's go to this Fox News article. Asian Americans say that the sorry about that. Asian Americans say the demographic shift to the GOP is a sign they reject leftist policies. Well, no, let's go into this more. Yeah, it says that GOP Asian American voters see a new analysis that reveals Asian voters are shifting to the Republican Party is that they're rejecting leftist priorities and socialism ideals of the Democratic Party. Yeah, okay, so Time study said the neighborhoods remained blue. They shifted Republican by 23 points compared to 2018. And according to the analysis, it was the largest electoral shift in Asian neighborhoods from 2006 to 2022. Wow, 23 points. And I thought Miami-Dade was bad back in 2020 when you saw um, going from Hillary Clinton, she wants 63% of the vote, and then you see Biden barely beating it with only 51%. I mean, that was embarrassing, but wow, dang, 23% points to the right. Wow. So this is just like New York. I'm not sure what it's like in other states like California or something like that. But let's continue with this article. It says, although Democrat Hochul emerged victorious in the election, they revealed that almost the entire city shifted to the right, with Asian voters shifting the most red. Yeah, that's true. Leading Asian GOP lawmakers in Congress are saying that the results show the voters are tired of big government, Democratic policies that are detrimental to living out the American dream. Yeah, okay. So I'm pretty sure there's some truth to that because, especially come from China, like, the communism, seeing firsthand. So I can understand there's probably some of that. And oh, yeah, like it says down here about Republican Michelle Steele. She says Steele's parents escaped North Korea and she was born in South Korea before moving to the U.S. when she was 19. I can see that. I mean, I really can. But I think a lot of it's because of the stupid woke policies, which is not which is dividing people racially, gender wise, uh, and it's just leaving a bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. And people are just at this point saying they're fed up with it, and I really don't blame them, But I say that a lot of it has to do with the jobs these days, like jobs, income, education. Those are the policies. But now getting back to it, like if New York, it brings an interesting point. Like if states like Virginia and New York can shift so far to the right in the governor's races because of education and crime policies, what could happen in the future? I mean, could this mean that states like California could be in play one day? I mean, there's a lot of Asian Americans live there. New Jersey was awfully close, but that was because of repudiation of Phil Murphy's policies. And so anything can happen going forward. And so it's tough. It's tough to tell. I mean, what the future holds. But let's put it this way: in Texas, majority of the Asian American voters voted for Greg Abbott over Beto O'Rourke. So I mean, so I think they're like pretty much the swing voters at this point um, because when people's lives are not improving, especially in these times, regardless of how much Joe Biden will say the economy is great, if people don't see the change in front of them, they're going to shift the other way. It's that simple. And but like I say, no voter should be taken for granted. Unfortunately, the Democrats do that all the time. They did it with Hispanic voters, with African American voters, and Asian voters, and now they seem to be losing all of them. So, yeah, so let's see what happens in the next couple election cycles. But this is some interesting trend going forward. All right. Well, you feel free to like, comment, share, subscribe, and give me your thoughts on what you think about this new trend. Yeah, and you guys have a wonderful Monday. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Take care. Bye.